Canadian Parliament erupted into chants for Barack Obama to extend his presidency.
And I was struck then, as I am again today, by the warmth of Canadians. I could not be more honored to be joining you in this historic hall, this Cathedral of Freedom. And we Americans can never say it enough. We could not ask for a better friend or ally than Canada. We could not.
We all love Obama. I could listen to him speak forever. I love the way he speaks.
He's bigger than life. He's a very good orator.
Barack Obama.
I would love to see Canada be the 51st state. We allow them to make cars. We allow them to take lumber. We don't need their cars. We don't need their lumber. We don't need their food products because we make the same products right on the other side of the border. It's sort of crazy. I asked him, what would happen if we didn't do that, if we didn't subsidize Canada? He said, we'd be a failed nation. And I said, then you should be a state. Because why are we paying all of that money to Canada when, we could use it ourselves? The Canadian citizens, if that happened, would get a very big tax cut. Tremendous tax cut because they're very highly taxed. And you wouldn't have to worry about military. You wouldn't have to worry about many of the things. You'd have better health coverage. You'd have much better health coverage. So I think the people of Canada would like it.
All we want from Denmark for national and international security and to keep our very energetic and dangerous potential enemies at bay is this land on which we're going to build the greatest golden dome ever built. We're building a golden dome that's going to, just by its very nature, going to be defending Canada. Canada gets a lot of freebies from us. By the way, they should be grateful also, but they're not. I watched your Prime Minister yesterday. He wasn't so grateful.
Donald Trump has threatened to block the opening of this major U.S.-Canada bridge. Why? He says the United States isn't being respected.
I thought that was one of President Obama's main points last evening. Fascinating conversation. Point that we need new institutions as much as reimagining the old ones. And that was part of my argument at Davos, that the international rules-based order that we helped build together no longer works as it once claimed, that we cannot restore that which no longer holds, that nostalgia is not a strategy. We have to take the sign down.
Donald Trump wants to break us so America can own us. They want our land. They want this land. They want our resources. They want our water. They want our country. Never!
Anybody tell me if Barack Obama just violated the Logan Act? Why in the heck would he be in Canada? Meeting with the Prime Minister? Look who was also there. Mr. Soros. Something smells a bit fishy about this one.
Are we trying to be America's enemy, or did I miss something? Because last time I checked, the United States is ran by Donald Trump, not Barack Hussein Obama. And at the same time, Canada's cozying up to China behind the scenes. So which one is it? Are we aligned with America, or are we positioning ourselves against our biggest trading partner? And didn't Mark Carney just talk about wanting a deal with America? Do you think Trump looks at this bullshit and says, yeah, let's reward that? Now, if I'm Trump, I say screw you. Because when you're dealing with someone like Trump, he doesn't negotiate with confusion. He punishes it. And right now, Canada looks stupid.
MAGA has erupted overnight over Barack Obama visiting Canadian Prime Minister Mark.
So they're saying Obama's trying to start some type of coup, and I'm saying, where can I sign up? I'm a 54-year-old gay man with, no military experience, but, I can help you decorate or something. I don't know. But whatever services I can provide for the coup, Count me in.
MAGA Republicans are freaking out because President Obama has reassumed his position as symbolic figurehead in the aftermath of Donald Trump failing so terribly to build up our relationships with leaders like Prime Minister Mark Carney, who met with President Obama just yesterday. Even Laura Loomer is, I guess, taking to the internet to say that this is an attempted coup, but that would never... Wait. Obama 2028. Wait. Obama 2028.
They think Obama is trying to take over the United States with the help of Canada to overthrow Trump. Like, the MAGA and Republicans really has to be studied. What MAGA doesn't understand is that the reason why they think that is because that's what they would do.
And I support anything having to do with Canada because I think they've been one hell of a good ally.
Do you do any business in Canada?
I do a little bit of business with Canada, and the Canadian people are wonderful people, and they're with us 100%. One of the nastiest countries to deal with is Canada.
MAGA has erupted overnight over Barack Obama visiting Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney. Barack Obama visited Canada, and now MAGA is suggesting that he should be arrested, that he's launching some type of coup. I mean, you can't really make these things up. You have folks like Laura Loomer saying, why is Barack Obama meeting with world leaders while President Trump is in office? This is a coup. You have another one, this is a big MAGA account on Twitter, saying Barack Obama's up in Canada holding private discussions with Mark Carney. Obama needs to sit down and figure his freaking place before his ass ends up in prison for violating the Logan Act. Mind you, Donald Trump met with world leaders in 2024 before he was president again and when he wasn't in office. There's nothing wrong with Barack Obama meeting with Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, but it does upset them because Trump doesn't have a great relationship with Carney. And if Obama has a good relationship, well, that's not good for, I guess, MAGA in some way.
So once again, the Republicans are triggered by President Obama. He could breathe and they'd be angry. And this time they're upset because he met with Prime Minister Mark Carney of Canada. That's it.
Listen, Obama goes to Canada and MAGA lose their minds. Listen, y'all, the man is a United States citizen and he can travel and go and do whatever he wants to do. But MAGA is upset that he's over in Canada and visiting and talking to Mark and things like that. So they're trying to say that he's doing something illegal because he up there talking to Canada and the Canadians don't even want to talk to Donald Trump. Nope. You know why they don't want to talk to Donald Trump? Donald Trump started all this mess with them. He started that tariff wars and all that with Canada, and they do not have any respect for him. They do not want to talk to him. So guess what? Canada love Barack Obama. So he was up there hanging out, and listen, MAGA done lost it, y'all. They mad. They want him to be arrested. What? So the man can't go to Canada, he can't go talk to nobody because of y'all. Donald Trump all around this world talking to Putin and everybody else. I don't know why he didn't get arrested. He should have been arrested in jail. All the corruption that Donald Trump has done, and you want to go over there and try to start some mess with Barack Obama, the man that's been peaceful, the man that did not bring any corruption to the United States. Come on, y'all. What do y'all think about this?
Carney said on social media, welcome back to Canada, President Obama. Thanks for joining us in Toronto for important conversations on how we build a better future. Normal stuff, right? But for MAGA, they think that something deeper is going on. For example, Laura Loomer said, why is Obama meeting with world leaders while Trump is in office? This is a coup. She thinks that Obama meeting with Carney is an attempt to overthrow the United States government. Another popular MAGA account on Twitter said, he's a former president. This violates the Logan Act. No, it does not. Honestly, I don't know what the F he thinks he's doing. The balls the Democrats have, unbelievable. I actually responded to that tweet by saying this you, referencing her back in 2024, celebrating Donald Trump meeting with Netanyahu at Mar-a-Lago. The MAGA Republicans hate Obama because he's better than Donald Trump in every single way, and people actually like him. He's one of the most popular politicians in America, despite leaving the presidency years ago. People still love him.
MAGA Republicans are freaking out because President Obama has reassumed his position as symbolic figurehead in the aftermath of Donald Trump failing so terribly to build up our relationships with leaders like Prime Minister Mark Carney, who met with President Obama just yesterday. Even Laura Loomer is, I guess, taking to the internet to say that this is an attempted coup, but that would never... Wait. Obama 2028. Wait. Obama 2028.
Trump wrote that he will not allow the bridge to open until the U.S. is fully compensated and treated with what he called fairness and respect. The bridge links Canada and the U.S. across the Detroit River. It's one of the busiest trade routes in the world, moving billions of dollars of goods, car parts, and food between the two countries. The bridge cost about $6.4 billion, entirely funded by Canada, but it will be jointly owned between Canada and the U.S. state of Michigan. Trump actually endorsed the bridge during his first term, calling it a vital economic link. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney says he's spoken directly to Trump, reminding him that Canada has fully funded the project. Now, Trump is threatening to block the opening of the bridge unless the U.S. is fully compensated, arguing that Canada has taken advantage of America on tariffs, trade, and past deals.
U.S. President Donald Trump has issued a new warning to Canada, threatening to block the opening of a new bridge linking Windsor and Detroit. So this is the Gordie Howe Bridge. It is set to open this year. The U.S. President Donald Trump now says the U.S. should own at least half of it and be compensated. In a lengthy, there it is, social media post, the U.S. president says he will not allow the bridge to open until, quote, the United States is fully compensated for everything we have given them. And also, Canada treats the United States with the fairness and respect that we deserve. We will start negotiations immediately, end quote. President Trump, by the way, is claiming Canada built the bridge with no input from the U.S., something Windsor's mayor disagrees with.
We discussed the bridge. I explained that Canada, of course, paid for the construction of the bridge, over $4 billion, that the ownership is shared between the state of Michigan and the government of Canada, and that in the construction of the bridge, obviously there's Canadian steel, Canadian workers, but also U.S. steel, U.S. workers that were involved. This is a great example of cooperation between our countries. Look forward to it opening. And what is particularly important, of course, is the commerce and the tourism and the voyages of Canadians and Americans that will go across that bridge.
What in the world is a former U.S. president doing talking to the leader of Canada? That is unacceptable. That is collusion. They are treasonous. They are working against Donald Trump. We demand both their heads. They should be thrown in jail. It's collusion. Hold Obama accountable under the Logan Act. And I'm like, the Logan Act. So that's when somebody who is a U.S. citizen, but not part of the government, involves themselves or talks to a foreign leader, from a leader from another country, right? Because isn't that what Donald Trump did when Biden was president? Because he admits that he talked to Putin. He admits that he talked to Viktor Orban. He admits that he talked to Netanyahu. Hell, I think even Netanyahu came to Mar-a-Lago at one point. So how is that not a violation of the Logan Act? But somehow this is. And the thing is that the reason that Barack Obama is even in Toronto meeting Mark Carney is not because he specifically came to Toronto to meet Mark Carney. No, he came because there is an event being put on by Canada 2020. It's a think tank convention. That's what it is. It's a think tank convention. A bunch of rich geniuses sit in a room and talk about all the things they think that they can do to make the world a better place. That's exactly what it is, right? I guess it's political in a sense, but it's not collusion. It's not treason. They're not purposely getting together. I mean, you have absolutely no proof of that's what's going on. And the thing is that this happens. I mean, Pierre Poilievre right now is at his own convention in Ottawa with U.S. representatives. U.S. representatives, I might add, that have said horrible things about Canada, okay? And he's there speaking at the same convention as, you know, as these U.S. representatives. And nobody's screaming collusion. Nobody's screaming, you know, how dare he, I want his head. Like, it's just, I mean, to me, the optics don't look good because these are two of the representatives. One, actually, Pete Hoekstra, was supposed to speak and then got pulled back to Washington. But these are people that have said things badly, that have said horrible things about Canada. And yet Pierre Poilievre is at a convention with them, right? But he's allowed to do that, okay? Mark Carney is not screaming treason and collusion at him, is he? No, nobody's asking for his head. We can be unimpressed with it. Listen, a lot of people are allowed to be unimpressed with Mark Carney meeting with Barack Obama. A lot of people are allowed to sit there and go, you know, you're allowed to have your thoughts. But to sit there and demand that people go to jail or people be held accountable or that it's treasonous is taking it too fucking far.
Well, MAGA is very upset this morning. It's all because Obama was in Toronto and he met with Mark Carney before a gala where he was a keynote speaker at. Check out those comments under that post, shall we? Oh, Obama committed a federal crime where he has no immunity about. Uh-oh. Oh, Uncle Jonah thinks it's a coup. Canada's becoming a national security threat. Okay. More. Oh, I can't wait for Trump to do this after his term's over. Now, I want to dig into this one a little bit. Because there are two world leaders Trump 100% did talk to and meet with in between his presidencies. No way. No way. No. Netanyahu and Mar-a-Lago in 2024? There's Trump, there's Netanyahu, 2024, before Trump's presidency, before the election of 2024. Now, who is this guy? Who is that guy? That can't be Steve Witkoff. Steve Witkoff, that is in charge of the negotiations currently, as of now, with Iran, along with Trump's son-in-law? That can't be. Oh, and also Trump was talking to Putin. He still had communication lines open with Putin. During Biden's presidency, Trump met with Putin, who had the war going on with Ukraine, and Netanyahu, which was bombing Gaza. Interesting.
Former President Obama is in Canada, and the Prime Minister, Mark Carney, greeted him as if he was the incumbent. And I can't say I blame him when the incumbent president is constantly mocking and belittling our allies, treating them like adversaries or worse. The Prime Minister tweeted on X, "Thank you for joining us in Toronto for important conversations on how we can build a better and more just future." Honestly, it couldn't be more great because it was such a jab at our president currently, where he'd rather take the call of a dictator than of a friend. Maybe former President Obama should start a tour where he goes and visits all of our allies and apologizes on behalf of half of the Americans that didn't vote for this. Because we know that the current president would have a meltdown if he did this. But at this point, since the incumbent gives us headaches on a daily basis, let's give him one and start the Obama apology tour all across the world.
I've been noticing for years that the Trump cult is absolutely obsessed with Barack Obama. So I decided to do some research to try and find out why the MAGA cult is so obsessed with Obama. Barack Obama has not been president for 10 years, and MAGA can't stop talking about him. They're literally obsessed with the man. They try and blame him for things that are happening today. That's not random. There's a psychological reason for that, although it seems a little creepy. Here are the 4 reasons the Trump cult is obsessed with President Obama. 1. The psychological wage of whiteness. In 1935, sociologist W.E.B. Du Bois at Atlanta University studied poor white Americans. White Americans, even the poor ones with no money and no power, felt superior to black Americans. Not because they earned it, but because for 250 years the entire system told them they were superior to black people. The law said it, the church said it, the culture said it. Du Bois called it the psychological wage of whiteness. This is a status payment people collect just for being white. A floor that white people couldn't fall beneath. Then Barack Obama became president. He occupied the highest status role in the country. That destroyed the floor. And when a status floor breaks, people don't quietly adjust. They backlash. Obama didn't just win an election. He took something they didn't even know they were depending on. They didn't earn this special status, but they thought it was stolen when Barack Obama got elected. And they've been trying to take it back ever since. 2. Social identity threat. Psychologist Henry Teifel at the University of Bristol spent decades studying in-group conflict. What he found was when a member of an out-group outperforms the in-group, the psychological response is not one of admiration, but hostility. Teifel called this social identity threat. A failed black president would have confirmed the Trump cult's worldview, but Obama being polished, competent, scandal-free, and widely respected by world leaders made it impossible to call him incompetent. The better Obama performed, the more threatening he became to the cult. Not because of his policies, but because his success directly contradicted everything they believe about the natural order of things. He wasn't supposed to be better. He wasn't supposed to be a gentleman and a scholar, and yet he was. That doesn't just go away. When weak, mediocre people see someone they believe was inferior reach the highest office in the country, they don't get inspired. They become filled with rage. They feel lied to, and they need someone to blame for the hate and rage. That target is Obama. Everything they could never be. 3. Scapegoating. Obama left office in 2017, but his name never left the conversation. because Trump spent more than a decade smearing his name. It all started before Trump was even president. Trump spent years pushing the birther conspiracy, claiming Obama wasn't American, wasn't legitimate, wasn't one of us. That wasn't politics. That was a deliberate effort to strip Obama of his humanity and plant him in the minds of millions as the source of everything wrong. Then when Trump took office, the playbook continued. Every problem needed an explanation. Economy struggling? Obama's fault. Crime rate rising? Obama's fault. Anything going wrong in the country? Obama's fault. Psychologists call this scapegoating. Assign one figure as the source of all your problems and anxiety, which then collapses onto that single target. It feels like clarity to his followers. It feels like understanding. It isn't. Trump didn't just keep Obama's name alive. He spent over a decade turning him into the villain of the story. And to the Trump cult members, this story still is true. 4. Cognitive dissonance. Here's what made the obsession permanent. The MAGA cult couldn't call Obama corrupt. There were no scandals. They couldn't call him incompetent. The record didn't support it. They couldn't even call him unpresidential. He was polished, disciplined, and respected around the world. Psychologist Leon Festinger at Stanford University studied what happens when people are confronted with evidence that contradicts their deeply held beliefs. Weak people don't update their beliefs when confronted with contradicting evidence. They double down on their original beliefs. Festinger called this cognitive dissonance. MAGA was left holding a belief system that Obama's entire existence disproved. And instead of resolving that contradiction by updating their worldview, they resolved it by hating him harder. The obsession isn't just political, it's psychological. And it has nowhere left to go, so it goes out onto everyone else in rage and obsession. Obama is living proof that the psychological wage of whiteness doesn't exist anymore. And to weak people who never earned that status in the first place, it feels like an identity crisis. So they obsess more, say his name more, talk about him obsessively all the time. They even have a name for this now, Obama derangement syndrome. Because Obama didn't just win the presidency. He broke a hierarchy millions of people thought was permanent. And they've been trying to undo that moment ever since.
Guys, so I was having this exchange with this gentleman on social media today, on Facebook. And we were talking about, we started talking about Michelle Obama versus Melania, but somehow we got onto the subject of Barack Obama. And so he said that Barack Obama was the worst president we've ever had, and that he was the most divisive president we've ever had. Now, I don't know about you, but I've seen where a lot of people, particularly MAGA, they've said that Obama was so divisive. And so I just want to focus on that. And let's just stop pretending. Let's just be truthful. A black man, people, did not divide this country. Racism did. And stay with me because I'm going to explain to you what I mean. His presidency forced people to see it, whether they wanted to or not. Because what exactly made him divisive? I mean, every speech the man gave, he talked about unity. He always said, I'm your president, it did across party lines. He was everyone's president. He was supporting America, the entire country, whether you agreed with him or not. So what makes people say that he was divisive? I mean, was it his policy or was it his presence? And that's what I think it was, his presence. When he got elected, there was an immediate movement questioning whether he was even born here. Not disagreement. Guys, that was delegitimization. That wasn't policy. That was about who people believed had the right to sit in that office. When he passed healthcare reform, suddenly it was tyranny. But similar ideas before him, because he didn't just come up with affordable healthcare on his own. Remember, Mitt Romney had basically suggested the same thing for his state anyway. So it wasn't necessarily 100%, his idea. He didn't sit down at a table somewhere one night by a candle and write it, okay? But they did not treat him the same when he came out with this. When he said in response to the Trayvon Martin shooting, if I had a son, he'd look like Trayvon. You already know, that really set him off. He was called divisive. for acknowledging something that black families understood without explanation. I don't think it was just black families either. I think a lot of white families understood exactly what he was saying, and what he was saying was the absolute truth. That could have easily been my son, who went to that store, got those Skittles, came back and got confronted. When the Ferguson unrest happened and he called for calm and accountability and understanding, he was still called divisive. Not because of what he said, but because of what people heard. And what they heard was a challenge. It was a challenge to the version of America they were comfortable with. So let's be honest. Divisive became a code word, a way to say, I don't like what this represents. Because a lot of people were fine with the idea of equality until it looked like him, until it had power, until it couldn't be ignored. So no, he wasn't the most divisive president. He was the moment this country had to confront what it had been avoiding for a very long time. And instead of dealing with it, people blamed him for it. Not because he divided the country, but because he exposed how divided it already was. What do you guys think? Do you agree?
This suggests that Barack Obama possesses a level of influence that Donald Trump has often sought, but has never fully achieved. The reason is simple. Genuine respect cannot be created through pressure or demands. A leader may be able to command loyalty from supporters. They may also exert influence over politicians or use media platforms to amplify messages that benefit them. However, earning genuine respect from heads of state and the public around the world is something that can only be built over time. Obama achieved this through his demeanor, conduct, and the image he projected in public life. From the way he spoke, to the way he appeared at public events, to the manner in which he represented the United States on the international stage, all of these elements contributed to his credibility and reputation. As a result, when Obama visits Canada, most people do not view the visit with concern or suspicion. Very few assume that he is quietly pursuing some hidden political agenda. Most simply see him as a former president who continues to wield considerable influence, maintains positive relationships with many world leaders, and remains admired in numerous countries. For a figure with that level of international standing, such a reception is entirely normal. For decades, former American presidents have continued to participate in international forums, meet with foreign leaders, address public audiences, and maintain diplomatic relationships after leaving office. However, many people within the MAGA movement tend to view politics through a lens of skepticism and strong emotion. As a result, they often interpret events more negatively or see them as cause for concern. To some extent, many MAGA supporters understand that Trump is unlikely to receive the same level of global admiration as Obama. Trump's image in many countries has been shaped by years of controversy, trade disputes, provocative remarks directed at allies, and a political atmosphere often characterized by volatility. That does not mean that everyone around the world opposes Trump. The issue lies more in how the international community perceives his image and leadership style when compared with Obama's. Canada provides a useful example. For generations, it has been regarded as one of America's closest and most reliable allies. Yet during Trump's presidency, relations between the two countries experienced repeated tensions arising from tariffs, trade disagreements, and several controversial statements concerning Canada. Such statements can weaken trust between allies. No allied nation wants to feel that it is constantly being threatened or turned into the target of political attacks from the United States. What allies generally seek is stability, mutual respect, and a long-term spirit of cooperation. As a result, when Obama visits Canada and receives a warm welcome, Many within the MAGA movement view it as a striking contrast to Trump's experience. To them, it serves as a reminder of a period when America's image under Obama was associated with diplomacy, calm leadership, and stability, whereas Trump is often perceived as more unpredictable and confrontational. World leaders generally feel more comfortable working with individuals who demonstrate consistency, emotional discipline, and professionalism. They do not want to spend every day worrying about impulsive remarks or unexpected attacks on social media. Diplomacy has always required trust, patience, and the ability to sustain relationships over the long term. That is also one of the reasons Obama was able to build enduring international stature and maintain an extensive network of relationships over many years. Thank you for taking the time to watch. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to stay updated with future content. Wishing everyone a wonderful day, and we'll see you again in the next video.